Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastian Envy, strong style, cinephile. So, Gotham Knights. Let's geek about that for a scant few minutes because it seems to be potentially very interesting. Now, it shares the name with the upcoming video game of the same name, has nothing to do with it. I'm very curious about that video game and excited to play it because we get to play the sidekicks, like actually play them, not just play them on little closed-in challenge maps like we could on the previous Batman games, Arkham games, and all those ones. So I'm anxious to kind of see what Gotham Knights is. But no, the TV series Gotham Knights, which is going to be on the CW, centers around Bruce Wayne being murdered and his rebellious son teaming up with the offspring of some of Batman's greatest villains to get to the bottom of it, find the real killer, that sort of thing. So, yeah. And recent reports have said that not only is it getting a pilot order, that it has a pilot order, that it will possibly star, spoiler, Harper Row and Nightwing. Now, spoiler and Nightwing, of course, I'm familiar with. Harper Row, not so much. She's somebody that's come along in recent years. I guess I have to just dial up my DC comic book app and do some reading on Harper Row to see what all the fuss is about and see why she's going to be on the show. Now, a lot of people think we're thinking about whether or not it would be like Damian, since it was like Batman's son, but apparently it's going to be Nightwing. Some people are kind of questioning that because we already have Nightwing on the vastly just craptastic Titans show. And of course, at one point in time, WB, DC, however you want to parse it, had issues with having multiple versions of characters on. I don't know what kind of changed, but I'm fine with it now because we have a Flash TV series, which is probably on its last legs, thank God. We have the Flash movie, and apparently we're going to have multiple Nightwings, that sort of thing. It bothered me before because you had it curtailed the awesome like Arrowverse Suicide Squad that we got and the awesome Arrowverse Deadshot that we got. That was just far superior, far better than probably what they thought it was going to be and what it deserved to be with what was brought to that role by that actor in the Arrowverse as Deadshot. I was very, very mad when word came down that they had to put the kibosh on the Suicide Squad as well as Deathstroke because he was going to be in, after credit scene in Batman vs Superman, and then of course nothing ever happened with that. So it was just the fact that they had this attitude that people would get confused by a movie version and a TV version. It's stupid. But hopefully we're just past that and we can just have multiple things on the big screen, on the small screen, because I really just think that it's kind of, and here we are with yet another Batman-esque series that doesn't have Batman in it, because we already did that with Birds of Prey, then we did it with Gotham, then we did it with Batwoman, where we talk about him and stuff, but we don't actually have him. And then in Titans, you had Bruce Wayne running around, you had Batman seen in a hallucination of Nightwings, but we've never had like Batman. And I just really subscribe to the theory and the thought that Batman would be the perfect just television series because you have so many genres you can play. You could play just a pure 7 type of multi-part, mystery with him. You could have some horror elements with Scarecrow and some villains like that. You could step into that genre. You could have just a pure balls to the wall, adrenaline-filled, just action oriented episode or string of episodes or whatever. There's just so many things. You could probably bring in some comedy with it, with some of the more like your Joker, maybe some dark humor, your Toyman, or just I guess he's more of a Superman villain. Scarface, maybe, if you want to play him for laughs. But I'm sure there's just ways you can touch every single genre with Batman on television. I realize there's maybe a larger budgetary payoff when it comes to the box office and stuff like that and merchandising and marketing for Batman on the big screen, but I argue that you could have far more success on the small screen than you would on the big screen with Batman. But nonetheless, we get to play in the Bat sandbox with this show. Now, Murphy's Multiverse is reporting that Gotham Knights is looking to cast an actor 18 or older as a series regular who is both athletic and sensitive, whose parents were murdered, leading to the character's adoption by Bruce Wayne. And of course, this sounds very similar to Nightwing. Now, the second character, calls for an 18-year-old actress to play someone sarcastic and smart who was raised on a steady diet of brain teasers and puzzles. Which, of course, puts us in the mind of Stephanie Brown, who we saw most recently on Batwoman, but I doubt we're going to get spoiler on there. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with her on the show and how they adopt her look and that sort of thing. And then Gotham Knights is also looking for a blue-haired bisexual female actress that heads to the streets to avoid an abusive upbringing at home. Now, Harper Row, who also has blue hair, is the vigilante crime fighter Bluebird. Cullen, Harper's brother, is also reportedly being cast with a description calling for a transgender actor who identifies as male. Another mystery character being cast, who would be the daughter of the most dangerous man in Gotham. A lot of fans thought it would have to do with the Joker's daughter, Dula Dent, who's claimed to be the offspring of a few villains. So remains to be seen kind of where all this is going. I saw somebody post on one of the message boards that I go to that principal photography is supposed to begin in April of this year. So I'm assuming, since it's about to be, we're close to March, that we're going to get some casting news and information soon. So that'll be interesting to kind of see who's going to play these roles, maybe see some of the costumes. Again, this is the CW, but is this going to be connected to the Arrowverse? Is it not? We know that the CW is kind of up for sale, so some people are kind of speculating and wondering how that's going to affect some of these shows. That if whoever buys the CW, are they going to want to take on the money that these shows cost? Because they're not cheap, they're not super expensive, some of them, but they're not super cheap either. Do the ratings justify how much money is paid for them? But then again, CW is not really a network that gets huge ratings. I mean, they do well for them, but they don't do some of the blockbuster type of ratings that other networks get, because CW is just a smaller kind of niche sort of network. But will whoever buys it want to continue with Gotham Knights when it happens? Again, it's a pilot order. It's not a series order. It's a pilot order. Pilots are shot all the time. You have the season with television shows, networks, where a whole bunch of pilots are filmed. They're just kind of thrown out there to the networks, to the bean counters, and they just kind of see what sticks, what gets ordered. We know there was a Powerpuff Girls live action adaptation that got a pilot order. They shot the pilot, looked at it, thought it sucked, and they decided to redo it. There's been the failed Adrian Palacki Wonder Woman pilot from years ago. Got a holdover bootleg of that. It sucked. You have the Aquaman pilot, Mercy Reef, that had Justin Hartley in that. Again, pilot order, not a series order. So pilots happen all the time. So we can't get super excited about the fact that there's a pilot. It's whether or not it gets a series order. That'll be the question. But it's Nightwing. Nightwing has a lot of fans. So as long as he's done right, he's not throwing out F Batman, and it's a halfway decent interpretation, unlike what we get on Titans, then I think it has a very good chance of getting a series order. But just remains to be seen, is it just your standard CW, fare with if Nightwing and Spoiler and Harper, or, Bluebird are teaming up with the villains, or they're going to play a part on this team, because it's a CW, they're going to have an MMORPG sort of alignment for the team, where there's going to be, the tech person and the doctor person and that sort of thing. Are they going to have those offspring of the villains play those roles? So is it going to be just that standard sort of formulaic CW show, or are they going to be able to use this show and to just try something different, just shatter the status quo and bring us something different? Remains to be seen how it all goes, but I'm super curious. I'm a huge Nightwing fan, so I'm super curious as to what they do, how it happens, and what they bring us. So those are some of my thoughts on it. Scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Until next time, let us geek.